Alright. Hey there. Looks like you caught me looking at Hollow Zero. I think that's Hollow Zero. I don't read anything, so I wouldn't know. That was a stupid joke, but I thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, um, I wanted to make this video as a kind of a, not a follow-up per se, but I'm not even looking at the camera. Um, I had made that video on Wuwa, the account overview, whatever, 6 months later, half a year later, whatever. I didn't. I kind of forgot to make one for this for Zenless because I like Zenless more than Wuwa. The Wuwa video was more like this is where the account is at after half a year, and this is kind of like I had grievances, and the ending, the last half of it was like a rant about whatever. I don't really have anything like that in Zenless. I'm enjoying the game, and I'm probably gonna play the game, long into the future. Wuwa again, mainly Wuwa was just the feeling that like I'm getting kind of done with the game a little bit. We'll see how things change with Amith. She looks kind of fun. I don't know anything about her kit. All I know is she's got like some crazy animations and whatnot, and apparently her best team is Lene and Chisa, which I already have. So I'm probably gonna pull for Amith. Go play with her, Amy, Amith. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So anyway, we'll let to the side. Like I said, I got kind of like I forgot to make one for this for Zenless, which it's kind of a shame. But yeah, so just gonna go over a little bit of the same things I went over in that video. Though I do want to stress a little bit here. And Wuwa, even though that somebody in the comments didn't believe me, and I'm still working on that by the way, trying to get in contact with Kuro to get some kind of like its expense report so I can show you guys that I haven't whaled or paid for any of the characters I bought or anything like that. It's all free to play. Like I said, I did spend $30 to buy a pack to buy the skins. So if they can give me some kind of report that says, "Oh, you paid this amount of money," I can show you guys this is all I paid. That's the same amount of money it costs to buy the skins. So there you go. I only bought the skins. I only stress that to say again that game was free to play. This game is not free to play. I have spent a total of like 45, maybe $50. I don't remember. The video of how much I spent is on here. It's because it was only specifically for one unit, and it was for what's her name for Yuzuha. I bought the $30 pack. I bought the battle pass, and I think I bought like one $5 thing that had like it was more advantageous than usual. So that was the main thing. But this is not a free to play account, so I just want to stress that it is a low spender, kind of a dolphin account, I guess you could say. I don't know. I don't know where like the threshold, because there's no thresholds for these things. Like there's whale and there's dolphin, and there's no like middle ground in terms of like what does that mean. But yeah, so though I will say, funnily enough, I think if you look at the Wuwa account, I don't blame that guy necessarily for thinking it's like I've paid money to get those units because that account that is free to play is way more stacked than this account that is not free to play. Like I've spent money on this game, and the account is a little less stacked than the one I played only for free. So I find that kind of funny. But regardless, I don't mind spending money on these games necessarily. Like I said, you want to keep it on lock because it's very easy to kind of just go and like overspend or especially gambling. It affects a lot of people. Gambling's never affected me very much. I have accounts, you guys have seen on this channel for those of you who have been around for a long time. I've been playing gotchas since like whatever year it was that Fire Emblem Heroes came out. I've been playing gotchas since then, and I have never felt the urge to spend a bunch of money. I played a bunch of gotchas. I've played, like I said, Fire Emblem Heroes, Epic 7, Knights Chronicles, Crossing Void was one of my favorites, but that game died off. What else? Crossing Void, Knights Chronicles, Cookie Run Kingdom. For anybody who plays that, that game's a lot of fun. It can be. I don't like the city building stuff. It's really annoying. And then all these gotchas like this. Like I played Genshin. I've played Wuwa, Zenless. What else? I tried Chaos Zero Nightmare, and I tried Etheria Restart. There's a lot of games I have tried that I've picked up to be like, oh, how's this game? And they're not super fun. So, Chaos Zero Nightmare is probably the main one that I would probably put more time into, but I just can't be asked right now. Wuwa and Zenless kind of take up most of my time, so I don't really, I'm not looking for another game. So if I drop Wuwa, maybe I'll go check out Seize the End, and I might make videos on it. I don't know. Who knows? But for now, anyway, back to Zenless, just to give you an outline of like what I've played. The point I'm trying to make is that like if you're able to control yourself, there's nothing really wrong with spending some money in some game, in some of your favorite games, right? Like if you like this game, I wouldn't discourage you from where is Signal Shop? Like when I spent the money I spent to get Yuzuha, I spent this to get 2,000. It was doubled at the time, so it was what 4,000. So I spent that to get 4,000, $30. If you buy this monthly pass, where is it? This monthly pass, it's $3,000. $3,000. It's 3,000 polychrome for $5. Of course, you have to sign in every day, but you know what I mean. Like, if I had been, just if I was okay spending money, which the point of this account was supposed to be free to play at the beginning, but then Yuza came out and I really wanted her for Jane Doe because Jane Doe's my favorite unit and all that stuff. So, and I lost the 50-50, so I was like, I just need to whatever. So, the point being that like if you're more wise with your money over time, buying like one or two of these, maybe once every like 2 months, every 2 months you spend $5, it's ridiculous. Because if you play like World of Warcraft, right? I don't know, they charge like a monthly service. You're paying what, $15-$20 a month or whatever. So anyway, bottom line is, there's really nothing like there's nothing wrong with spending if it'll help kind of make your smooth out your experience a little more. I still haven't bought this and I don't buy this because I'm at the point where I don't really care as much anymore because Jane Doe has everything she's gonna need. Um, but yeah, the only thing I may buy again is probably this. Let's see. Yeah, I can't buy this. I would maybe buy this for $5 and do the thing. I'm kind of forced to buy this because I need what I want to buy is this outfit. 'Cause I don't. I mean, this skin looks nice. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm getting like old, so I'm kind of a prude. So I really like this skin a lot more. Um, and I'm more than 300 away. If I just get 300, I'm at 1334, and I need 1350. So I have to buy this. So that's probably gonna be the only thing. The only other thing I buy is that to get the skin for Yixing Wang while it's on discount. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that's enough of kind of overall whatever. I'm just kind of musing in the fact that like it's not necessarily bad to spend on a game you want to play, right? Again, there's people, I've said this a million times already, but there's people who buy like FIFA $60 a year every year, you know what I mean? And then they spend like millions of dollars, anyway. The point being is like FIFA or Call of Duty, you know what I mean? When you buy these games every year, you could just spend, $5 on a game you do enjoy, right? Because everybody buys Call of Duty. It's like a miserable experience. They all hate it after like 2 or 3 months. It's like they charged you for the privilege to play their game. They didn't put any effort in for you because Activision and all those people don't care about you. You're just a wallet to them. Hoyoverse, obviously they're the same thing. You're just a wallet to them. But at the very least, they let you play the game for free and do most of the stuff for free. And if you're like, oh, so inclined, you can give them a little money back. So I don't know. It just doesn't bother me as much. But yeah, so let's. I'm just gonna kind of go over the units a little bit. Um, let's see. I went over this the first time because this is the second account review, so this is like 6 months later, right? I went over this the first time. I don't remember the order anymore. I've kind of lost track of all this stuff, but I just remember I came playing this game when I first started this game. It was when it first came out because I had played Wuwa for like a month or two, and then this game came out afterwards. I had played Genshin before this, and like I got pretty far in Genshin. I got up to like Inazuma. I got Raiden, Shogun. My 5 stars were Raiden, Yellen, Keqing. I forgot, there was maybe one or two other ones. Hu Tao was another one. Anyway, so I kind of liked Genshin, but I kept losing 50-50s, and their economy over there is just terrible. And the gameplay was kind of like starting to grate on me because it wasn't very complex or interesting. It's just kind of hold the, attack button until things die and then, use alt whenever, right? So, which, you could say that about any game, but just Genshin was kind of simplistic in that way, which is all right. It's what it is. It's kind of an entry level thing. And then Wuwa came out. It's a little more complicated on Wuwa. I enjoyed that combat system, but I'm starting to get little disillusioned by it in the same way where it's a little more simplistic because I enjoy this combat system a little more. But yeah, so anyway, I played Genshin. I stopped playing Genshin after a while just because they're a lot more predatory and they're a lot like their balancing is worse. I don't know, just everything you guys have heard online. People complain about Genshin. I've complained about it, so I just was like, I'm just gonna let it go. I'm not gonna play it anymore. So when this game came out, it was a Hoyoverse game, and when it first came out, it kind of like the monetization was very similar. The rates are similar. Like just everything about this game screamed like, I probably shouldn't play this game because it's not very whatever. So I played it for a while. There was a lot of that TV stuff at the beginning that I didn't care about. And then I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff in the beginning, the first like that first month of the game. I went for Ellen Joe. The game was incredibly like the game had just launched and it was like so stingy. I had played it for like a week or two, and in that first week of like release or whatever, I'd only gotten like one or two 10 pulls, and I was like, wow, this game is insanely stingy. I'm just gonna like, because I remember like in the first like 2 or 3 weeks of Wuwa, they gave us a free 5-star ticket. They gave us that banner that we could select a 5-star, and they gave us so many resources that when Yin Lin dropped, I had pulled for Yin Lin. I got her. I got a second copy of Yin Lin, which was again that was a stupid decision to because it was just a waste of money. But I also got her weapon. Like you know what I mean? Like so I don't know. Again, Wuwa was more appealing to me, and this game was like it just screamed Genshin, it screamed Hoyoverse, and I was like, I'm just done with it. So after like a week or two, maybe a month, I don't remember how long I ended up playing. I just left. I came back when Sambi during Sambi's banner because I had heard good stuff about it. People were saying it was a lot improved. And then I came back and I grinded it out for like a month. And after coming back and all the updates and everything and like the new player stuff, you get a lot of summons. You get like maybe 200 to 300 summons. Like if you were to start today, just a fresh account, like you never played this game, you'd probably like just grinding through all the story and everything, all the events and just all the whatever, all the missions. You could probably get somewhere like 200 to 300 summons, which is ridiculous. So anyway, the point being is that yeah, I came back. Sambi was here. I liked Ambi, regular Ambi, down here somewhere. She was probably one of my favorite characters. She just reminds me of like a combination of Rem and what's her name, and Aegis for anybody who plays Persona 3. So I kind of liked Ambi. Then at the time we were getting Soldier Zero Ambi, and I was like, oh, this she looks pretty cool, and I liked her playstyle. Everything about her I just kind of liked, so I just pulled for her. Obviously, I didn't know anything about the meta. I didn't know she was kind of trash. To me, she wasn't trash because I was still playing the game early days, and I was just like, I wasn't doing a lot of end game stuff. And then as soon as I got to the end game started shilling her buffs and all that stuff, so she was doing okay. Just a lot of people were doom posting because her numbers weren't like compared to Miyabi. I didn't know much about Miyabi. I didn't really care. So like I said, I just pulled for Sambi. She was a lot of fun. I pulled for her and her weapon. I didn't lose either of those 50-50s. And then I pulled for Trigger when she came out. I didn't lose the 50-50 on Trigger. So this is three in a row that I hadn't lost. I think I do remember having to go all the way to Pity, but I can't say for sure. And then Trigger's weapon, I was pulling for Trigger's weapon. I lost the 50-50, but I just kept like grinding away. Like I would get 160 polychromes, just send it on a summon, just one at a time, one at a time. I just like every little bit, every summon I could get, I was grinding as hard as I could, and then I finally got it. So there was that. I can't remember what happened after that. I think Jane Doe came out at some point, and Jane was a good unit to pull because she came and her banner had Seth, so I had her and Seth kind of maxed out at that point. By this point, obviously Jane had already kind of fallen off a little bit. She was like, her power level just wasn't where it was at. But Jane was my favorite character in the entire game, so I was like, I'm gonna get Jane. I don't care. I don't care if she's like not meta anymore. It doesn't matter. I'm just getting Jane. So that's from there. I forgot who came after that. A lot of these were like I think this was how when you do the standard banner you get three after you get 300 pulls you get one ticket to just pick whoever. I picked Grace with that ticket. I lost a 50-50 and I got her. I lost another 50-50 and I got him. Her, I think I got her from the standard banner at some point. And then when they gave out that anniversary, like here's a free 5-star ticket, I used it to get her first Mindscape to just kind of even out her playstyle a little bit. And the weapon from that, for anybody who's curious, I got a second copy of this. Not, no, she doesn't have it. She has it. I guess Grace had it still. I got a second copy of Weeping Cradle, so now that's why it's at second refinement. Yeah. Other than that, so the next after Jane Doe came out, the next thing I was just kind of saving because there was nothing else to get at the time. Was I think it's 2.0 because we're at 2.5. So at the 2.0, I think around that time was Yishuan had come out and she was like the next Void Hunter, and I was like, well, I missed Miyabi. Yishuan looks very technical, looks like a very interesting unit, so I kind of just dumped all my stuff into Yishuan. I got her and her weapon. I don't know, I can't remember for the life of me what 50-50s I may have missed or not missed. I'm pretty sure I didn't lose any, so that's why I got her and her weapon. But one of the other reason why was because you have to be very, like, if you're going free to play, and at this point I was free to play, you have to be very efficient about your stuff. So Sambi was like the least efficient because you have to pull her and you have to pull her. Well, you don't have to pull her weapon. You know what I mean? Like, you have to pull her, and without trigger, Sambi does fall down on the tier list like insanely. Like, she's just not. she's not really worth playing unless you have trigger. And if you have trigger, fantastic, right? So Sambi was probably the least efficient pull like I did at the time, though she wasn't too bad because she did come with Pulchra and her. So this team, before trigger came, this team was like the team I was running because they all went well with each other. Um, yeah, Poker's not bad. It's just again, to make Sambi shine, she really does need trigger. So she was a really inefficient pull. However, when I pulled Jane, she was kind of efficient because she came with Seth. So that was that. So when Nishuan came out, she's very efficient, right? Because she comes, her banner was her, Pan Yinhe, and Pulchra. So that means that I had her support. I mean, he's a tank or whatever. He's a defense unit, but main support for the whatever. And I got a stunner. So on her banner, everything was kind of it coalesced into a good solid team. So I had 3 teams. I had Trigger with her. I usually ran her with Nicole or whatever. Her with him. I think I ran her at the time. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but and then again her and her. So I had 3 teams basically from the get go. By the time 2.1 came out. What else happened after that? I think that was the main thing. More time had passed, and eventually Yuzuha was released. Obviously, I was running her plus him plus Yuzuha, so I needed her to complete the team because again there was no good third for Jane at the time. So I was like, well, we'll get her. And I really did need her, so I was like, okay, whatever. And then I ended up spending money. So this is the point where I lost the free to play status. Though for me personally, again, you don't have to consider me that way, but for me personally, I kind of look at this as like, well, that money only went to Yuzuha, so aside from Yuzuha, the rest of this account is free to play. But that's kind of just me coping, right? It's mad copium. But anyway, so Yuzuha came out, I got her. I didn't get Yuzuha's weapon because it was kind of a waste of pulls, and I'll go over that when I talk about Yuzuha. After Yuzuha, Vivian came out. I was like, well, as much as I like Seth, Vivian's kind of the end game for Yuzuha, though, of course, Alice was the end game, but I pulled for Alice. I lost a 50-50 on Alice, and, whatever. It is what it is. So Vivian is a little more general. Like, you can use Alice with Jane. You can use Alice, or Vivian. You can use Vivian with Jane. You can use Vivian with Grace. You can use Vivian with Miyabi. So Vivian is more generally applicable. You can kind of force Alice into different teams, but like she really does want to be kind of the main field driver, so it's kind of harder that way. So I just figured, whatever, I'll pull for Vivian. She'll boost up my Jane, and we'll just wait for Alice to come back. Alice is back, by the way, in the little triple banner, but that's a whole thing, and I'm not going to pull for that. I'm probably not going to pull for that. But anyway, so yeah, we got Vivian. I didn't pull for her weapon because her weapon, again, is not really worth it. You just need the character. So after that, we had that like spending event where like the more summons you do, the more whatever, you boost it up all the way until you got the Vivian skin. And I really wanted the skin, even though I don't use it because again I'm just a old man. I'm a prude. I did use it for a while. I don't mind the skin. I think it's nice. Out of all the swimsuit skins, I think she has one of the better ones. But like I said, I just like having her normal skin. Anyway, the point being that at the time, I wanted to get that skin, and I needed a few more summons, but the only one who was available was Dial-In. I didn't want Dial-In at the time. I think I needed like, I don't even remember. It was like 2 or 3 summons or whatever, very little. And I was doing one at a time to try to get it. And I got Dial-In in that, which the reason I didn't want to get Dial-In was because that summon for Dial-In was I had already lost the 50-50 somewhere, and Dial-In was like the guaranteed, right? So once I hit Pity with that, it was guaranteed. I was going to save that for something more important because I didn't really want Dial-In. Fortunately, I got her, though it turned out being fortunate because Dial-In's actually one of my favorite units now. I like the way she works. I like her mechanic. I like her forced ults. Just everything about her ended up being worthwhile. So I'm glad I lost the 50, or well, I didn't lose it, but you know what I mean? I'm glad I wasted a 50-50 on her. Fortunately, we just got lucky because I got her without losing the 50-50. I just, the first pity I got was her. So we got overly lucky there. I didn't really deserve that, but it is what it is. So yeah, the rest is history. You guys have recently got here. They gave Zhao for free. I'm not going to pull for her weapon because you don't need it. Back when I was running Seth, I kind of wanted to keep Seth for as long as possible. So to give him longevity, I pulled for her weapon because Seth can use this ridiculously. Like his shield works with this, which is he's one of the few people whose shield actually does work with this. And he gets, obviously, the whole team gets 18% more damage, which obviously boosts up Jane, and more days, so more stuns, so, whatever. But that was the only other one where I went kind of sideways. The only other thing I did was also I pulled for a second copy of Trigger when she came back because I really wanted the cancel where the first Mindscape because it's the most important Mindscape. Like once I got that Mindscape, I'm never pulling for another Trigger again. Not that maybe I shouldn't have pulled at all for a second Trigger, but I liked it just because anybody who like Trigger's so universally usable on any team that whoever gets her with that extra 20% damage bonus is just the benefit regardless, right? So that's her Trigger is. But yeah, so that's kind of it. The overview of like how I got all these characters and all that stuff. I got him. I'm pretty sure pulling for Lucia. That was one of the things where I lost the 50-50 on Lucia. But fortunately, I got Minato. He's pretty fun, though. He was fun for a while, but I'm liking Soldier 11 a lot more, and I think she's a lot stronger. So I'm just, it is what it is. What else? I guess that's everything. We'll go over some of the builds, just to kind of show off what the builds look like. So this is my Sambi. She's got this maxed out. That was one of the first ones I went to go do is max out her because I use her the most. All her skills are leveled up except for this, just because you don't block a lot with her. Like you're using her as a main and you block with Trigger more, so hers isn't really super like you don't need it as much. So I just left it there. I might eventually max it out, but yeah, whatever. This is not what I run on her. I run her on this. But yeah, so these are her stats actually. 34 plus 200 crit damage is what I wanted. Let's see. These are her stats on her sets. Pretty good. This one I got pretty lucky here, but I'm missing one roll because it had to give me attack because it was only 3 stats, so one roll was attack and then it rolled into attack. But if it started with attack, then I'd have one extra roll to put somewhere. So 3 crit damage. I got all these pretty high crit damage, which is a good thing. With Sambi specifically, you do want to get higher crit damage because she spreads crit damage to the rest of her team. One of the other units I pulled for was Orphe, but I lost a 50-50 on that, so sucks to suck, but it is what it is. Anyway, her with her Trigger and Orphe, that's ridiculous because not only are you pouring a bunch of her crit damage gets spread out through the other rest of her teammates, her core skill makes it so that her teammates, when she has the mark, the little silver star mark, they deal some of her crit damage. Whoever's hitting her gets extra crit damage from based on Sambi's crit damage. So Trigger gets as one example, obviously for aftershocks. But not only that, but aftershock units also get another 50% damage buff from this. So they get 50% plus a bunch of her crit damage is ridiculous. So the best team again is her with Trigger and Orphe because Orphe actually does a huge amount of damage. So boosting Orphe's damage is ridiculous. They all just kind of feed off of each other. Right now, because I only have Trigger and Sambi boosts Trigger's damage, and that's about it, right? And Trigger doesn't do a whole lot of damage anyway, but it's just nice to have, right? So it's just this is kind of the way you want to build her. Obviously, the attack is a little bit inflated because I do have an attack here, but yeah, that's that. So yeah, and the reason her crit chance is a little low, it's not terrible, but 62% plus her core passive here gives her 10% extra crit chance. So she's at 72 plus her gear here, 72, 74, 84. So she's at 84-ish crit chance, right? Still not, it's ridiculously good. But 84 plus 15 from Nicole gets her to like 99. So that's kind of where I'm like, that's fine. I'll take that. 100% crit damage with 100% crit chance with 200% crit damage is ridiculous. So that's kind of why I like her. We'll talk about Trigger next as a go-to there. Normally, I'll make a video about that. But this is where I've landed on her now. You don't want to go over 90% because she doesn't get diminishing returns from that. So getting as close to 90 without going over is what you want to do, and this is about as close as you can get. This is her set. Obviously, you just run her on crit damage. The cool thing about this set is it boosts her damage plus Sambi's damage and Nicole's damage because the whole team gets the 30% crit damage buff. I'm pretty sure. That's the wrong whatever. Yeah, all squad members by 30%, whatever. So yeah, that's what that is. The attack percentage here and the attack percentage here is just because they're easy. This is the first thing that I got. Getting these to be electricity is annoying. But also because like it's okay to run attack percentage if you're not getting a lot of attack buffs elsewhere. because I usually run them with Nicole. Nicole has no built-in attack buff, so we're not saturating the attack. So it's okay to run attack. Ideally, you still want electrical damage here, but it's going to take forever to find pieces to replace these, considering how good they are, both of these. I don't care enough to go grind them. I'm just going to sit with attack until like the day I die or whatever. So that's that. Seeing as I'm talking about Nicole a bunch, we'll go take a look at Nicole. Finally got her 6th Mindscape, which gives her 1.5% crit chance that stacks over the life of like however many ticks her bubble does, 10 times. So on average, you should have around 10%, 15% crit chance because the 10 stacks every 12 seconds, and she usually bubbles every 12 seconds. So yeah. Usually just run her with all energy regen because you need her spamming bubbles as much as possible. Normally I run her on this because on the Sambi team we get so little attack buff that this ends up working. The other reason is that the Kaboom the Cannon buff is like the whole match. Like this will stay active the entire match, the 12% attack buff, which ends up on average boosting every run I do. I've tried testing out this and then running this, and the Kaboom the Cannon outperforms this every time, just because for one, this is low refinement, but for two, the attack buff is for the entire match, where this is only an isolated bubble bursts, right? So, but the point is right now I kind of want to run her on her own weapon. It gives her more bubbles, so you just have to be on top of spamming them out as soon as possible. Like as soon as she has it, just send it, right? Yeah, so this is kind of where she's at. I like her having 60% crit chance because her Mindscape gives her to 75, and then she starts benefiting from the King of the Summit. So she starts doing a little bit of damage. It's not a lot, right? Her stats are kind of low, but more than nothing, right? So that's kind of, at least she's involved, right? Pokro is another unit. Her build changes a lot. Back when I used to run Yishuan, Dailin, and Pulchra, she was on Quick Assist set, the whatever Astral Voice, because I couldn't run 2 King of the Summits. But now I'm using her on her own teams where she is the main stunner. So I went back to this. Ideally, you'd probably want to run like a double impact set, so 2 impact and then this. But I don't know. It's so minimal that I don't really care. And having her do a little bit more damage because now her crit chance is up a little bit is a little, at least to me, I find it to be a little more useful. But again, mathematically, you'd probably just be better off running higher impact. But yeah, like I said, she doesn't do 0 damage. She doesn't do a lot of damage, but she also doesn't do 0. So I don't mind having her do a little more damage. This is the set that I have her on. So all in all, I got some pretty good pieces here. Again, I kind of like, one of the reasons that's inspired that is that this gives you 24% physical damage. So the point being that like clearly the developers want you to kind of run her as a little bit of a DPS. Again, don't spend too much time trying to make her like cracked or anything, but focus first on daze and stun potential, then give her a little bit of damage. So I don't mind that too much. I don't use Lucy very much anymore, but I guess we can take a look at Lucy's build. I just run Lucy on impact just to give her a little more stun potential. And I run her on this because I have pretty good pieces for this. But that's about it. Like, Lucy's all right. I don't even have her maxed out or anything. Like this doesn't matter because all this does is makes it so that her boards do more damage. But it's like, who cares? Her boards don't do anything. Lucy's only job is to do this, is to EX special or ult because they both put the buff up. But her buff gives out 600 damage or 600 attack, and then her ult gives out energy. And if you have her Mindscapes, her 4th Mindscape gives you 10% crit damage, and her last Mindscape just makes it so that the boar buff, whatever, stays up easier because every time you EX special, it'll give you 5 more seconds on the buff. So all it does is keep that buff more consistent. She's the only one who can use her weapon to the fullest extent, which means that she gets all 4 stacks the entire like match or whatever. So you get 16% attack, which is like, okay, whatever, that's fine. So yeah, like I said, Lucy's great. I like Lucy, but there's just nowhere to use her. Like, there's so many better options, and now that we have like, now that we have Zhao, it's like she just blows Lucy out of the water. Like, there's nothing the fact that we got her for free too, it's like there's nothing Lucy can do. So she's just kind of here just to be here. If all the other teams are taken up and I need an extra, well, I'll just use her, right? So it's not that big a deal. Seth, we'll go over Seth's build. He's supposed to be on the Quick Assist set, but I took some of his pieces. Like this, he's supposed to be on this, and then whatever. So mainly just because he has so many Quick Assists with Jane Doe, it's like ridiculous. And then obviously he's supposed to be running the Tusks of Fury, but his own weapon's not too bad either. I just don't. I only recently got his weapon. I actually didn't get his weapon the first banner around when he came through. But you know, whatever, it is what it is. Um, I got him maxed out, all his mindscapes. They're actually pretty cool if you look at them. More days, more damage, just a bunch of random interesting stuff. Who else is pretty good? I could show this off, but all you have to do is get him to 3,000 attack. We'll show off Soldier 11. Actually, I'm pretty proud of this build. I'm gonna swap her over to. I usually run her with this weapon because she can't use her own weapon anymore. Yet you have to stack this up 8 times, and she doesn't really get that many basic attacks anymore because she's doing a lot of EX, a lot of her parries and her dodge counters or whatever. So just her combo doesn't stack this up as much as you'd like to anymore. It doesn't really matter. This weapon outperforms it anyway because you have a higher base attack, right, which is probably the most important stat. Well, not the most important, one of them. And she also gains all the benefits from this weapon except for the 20% crit damage or electricity damage, which is like, who cares? Because she gets the 30. This is just a free 30%, right? And then down here, whenever she does a basic attack, special attack, aftershock doesn't matter. She can't do them, but she can do basic and specials all the time. It gives her 3 stacks. So this is another 30% crit damage. 30 plus 30 is 60, plus this is 108% crit damage. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I just run her on this. I try running her on a fire on the Infernal Metal set, but it just never like, I don't know. It doesn't work out very well. The extra crit chance doesn't really help out very much. Plus, oh man. Yeah, plus she does pretty good on this set anyway. 65% crit chance, not bad. If you run her with Nicole, she goes up to what? 80% crit chance, so pretty good. Yeah. The gear on her is not amazing. It's just the best I could do. But she's still pretty useful. She's pretty fun. I gave her this because she could use the pen ratio. She's the next character. I want to max these out, so I'm still working on that. I don't have her skills maxed out because I can't afford the investment of using hamster wheels on her because I keep getting new characters that actually they need them more than she does. So unfortunately, she's going to be kind of nerfed for a while. But she does pretty good. She's a lot of fun to use. I'd recommend using her. Jane Doe. This is her stat spread. She used to have a little more anomaly proficiency, but I gave some of her pieces to use to Vivian, so she's a little lower. But either way, she's still pretty good. I started upgrading some of her skills to 12 just because it's Jane and I wanted to upgrade them. But as an anomaly unit, you don't need to upgrade any of these. You can just keep them all at 1 and she'll basically perform the same. But I just felt like doing it just because she's my favorite unit. I want to max her out eventually. This is the set I'm running on her. Here we go. Her weapon, because we can get more copies of her weapon out of the store, I think it'll really change her build eventually. Like we'll start seeing different kinds of builds over time because when you max this out, this gives you 72% physical damage, which is like you're saturating that to a ridiculous degree because this set already gives you 10% plus physical damage 30% here. To get another 70 whatever percent, you're saturating this way too hard. So eventually you're probably gonna have to swap over your build, and not only that, but you're also getting another 35% from the 4-piece, right? So at some point you're probably gonna eventually have to swap this out for like attack or pen ratio, and you might have to run her on like a 2-piece pen ratio attack percent. Anyway, over time you kind of want to change the build. Not to mention once you max this out, this goes up to 80% build rate, which means you could just swap this off and run like attack percentage here. Let's see, like something like this, right? And have more attack because you apply so fast. So either way, over time, her build's going to have to evolve now that we have the possibility. Now, that's going to take forever. It's probably going to take maybe more than a year to max out her weapon using that shop. Maybe 2 years even. But anyway, that's the end goal, right? So that's Jane. We'll go over the Yishuan build. 53% crit rate. It's not too bad. Oh, actually, I need to swap this. I use this when I use her on a Yuzuha. Sometimes I use her with Yuzuha and Vivian because for one, it's a really fun team. But for two, there's just sometimes where it's more useful to do that. I'm pretty sure that because this is the best. This is the best one that I have. Is this one? This one sucks and whatever. But sometimes I feel like this outperforms this, even without using that Yuzuha team. And well, the other question is, I wonder. Maybe you guys can tell me. Even on a Vivian Yuzuha team, is it still more beneficial to run this? I'm pretty sure it's still more beneficial to run this, but I gaslight myself into thinking this one's better. I don't know. It probably, this is probably the main build that you should keep her on. She's got 50% crit chance, but her weapon gives her 20, so that's 70. Plus her set gives her another 12, so that's 82% crit chance. 80. You want to keep a 2-to-1 ratio of crit chance to crit damage, so 82% to 160 crit damage, pretty good. The reason you can run a lot of different two sets here. You can run the new whatever or any kind of aether damage bonus set. You can run like where is it? You can run this down here, a crit chance set or whatever. So you can run a bunch of different stuff. I'm going with the two-piece branch and blade song because for one, ether damage, her weapon already gives her some ether damage bonuses here. Plus, yeah, I think that's mainly that. Yeah. So her weapon already gives her some ether damage. You can run a two-piece woodpecker, but again, her weapon already gives her crit chance. So what does she not get from her own kit and her own stuff, right? She doesn't get crit damage. So I prefer to patch that up with a two-piece set. So whenever you're looking at your characters and how to build them, kind of look for what they don't get from different sources. Like if I'm running her with who gives out crit damage? Well, any stunner, right? Like look at what buffs you're getting. Like if you're running her with, not that you would, like just any unit, just take another unit as an example. If you're running some other unit and then you're running Zhao with them, Zhao gives you 1,000 attack buff. So maybe don't run a two-piece Astro Voice, because let's say you are running that build, right? Don't run that because you're getting so much attack that you can supplement something else, right? So this is just an example. Don't, no one's really doing that. No one's running a two-piece Astro Voice, I don't think, but this is just whatever. Yeah, so this is her set. This is what she's running right now. Not too bad. Vivian, I already showed off a little bit. Vivian's weapon, Weeping Cradle, it doesn't outperform it, but it's like close enough at a max rank. Her weapon on herself, if you just consider her own damage, her weapon outpaces Weeping Cradle by like 20% or something. I don't remember. You guys can look up the numbers, but basically it's a decent enough margin that would make her weapon worth pulling. However, when we're talking about the team-wide damage, the difference between her weapon and Weeping Cradle is like 2%, 5% at maximum. So I think wasting an entire pity for her weapon for a 2% increase on a team-wide buff, whatever, isn't really worth it. So that's kind of why I didn't mind not pulling her weapon so much. This is her set. These aren't terrible, but I haven't specifically grinded this out as much because this is just stuff that's been sitting here from when I grinded out stuff for Sambi, because these two, this set and the Shadow Harmony, are both on the same the grind set. So this is just leftovers from that. I haven't spent too much time boosting up Vivian. She could probably be a lot better, but she does good enough as it is. We'll go over Yuzuha. Yuzuha. Oh, there we go. That's why I was like, what's up with her stats? Again, Yuzuha has the same thing. Yuzuha, her build is really simple. All you want to do is as much Anomaly Mastery as possible and then as much attack as possible to hit 3,000, because that's how you get her buffs. To get this 1,200 attack buff, you have to reach 3,000 attack at least. And then, you have to, she's one of the few Anomaly characters you actually have to buff. Well, she's a support, so it's not the same thing. But she's one of the only few Anomaly-based characters that you have to boost her skills, because this will upgrade this, the build-up rate of that. This increases how long this Sweet Scare buffs last and how much energy her ult gives, right? So that's the only reason why that she has her skills leveled up. Everything else is like whatever. You could probably level this up for more days potential when she block parries, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, her main set is just this. The entire team gains an 18% damage bonus. And then you want to run Anomaly Mastery, right? The only way to max out her buff, where is it here? Where is it? All right. There we go. The only way to max out this buff down here is to hit 200 Anomaly Mastery. And the only way to hit 200 is with her weapon. So everyone else, we're all running 171 on this, which translates over to 14%, because the max on this buff is 20%, right? 20 and 20. But since we only have 170, I think it's 14%. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. So 14%, it's not that bad. I'm not going to go waste a pity on her weapon just to get 6% more. Now, the other thing that her weapon does is it gives her energy in the main stat, but that's okay because Weeping Cradle gives you energy right here. And then the other thing the other weapon does is it gives the entire team 60 anomaly proficiency, which is not bad. I think it's super helpful, but the fact that this gives out 24% damage buff to the entire team the whole time is comparable anyway. So like I said, you can pull for that weapon. I wouldn't recommend you do it, just because Weeping Cradle is so much like comparable. Not to mention that the new weapon thing, the little weapon shop, you can max this out over time as well. Again, I don't know if it's worth it because you're going to lose a lot of 50-50s throughout your time playing this game. So just naturally let it build up. But if you're in a hurry, I think this goes all the way up to 30%. Overclock. What does this look like now? Next. No, the next rank is 30%. I don't remember I think it's 40 actually. When you max this out, it might be 40. So when you get these two, whatever. Anyway, she can keep it stacked the entire time because the little Tanuki helps out. I could be wrong about that. Again, I don't read. I watched a video and somebody had said that the Tanuki helps keep the thing stacked. But I could be wrong. So, but yeah, like I said, I wouldn't encourage pulling her weapon. Weeping Cradle is just as good. Let's go over to Xiao real quick. I'm actually kind of proud of this Xiao build. Like, look at this. Running this without her weapon, because her weapon, you need to hit 27,000 HP to maximize this buff, because this buff gives you 10% damage buff. 30% comes from the health to a maximum of 40. The way I'm running her now, with this much health, 25.5, if I get 300, it gives me, I calculated this, I don't remember what it is now, but it gives me 25%. So 10% plus 25 is 35% total bonus. I'm 5% off the maximum bonus because I don't have her weapon and I'm not running that one other, I forgot what it was called, but there's a weapon that has health in the main stat. I think I actually have it. I don't have it. Well, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, like, I'm almost hitting the max buff anyway without her weapon. So I'm missing 5% damage buff from this, right? 5% I'm missing because I don't have an HP stat, main stat. But that's okay because I'm also making up for it with another 18% from this. I might be oversaturating at some point, but anyway, the point being is, like, I don't mind not having a weapon. The other thing her weapon does is gives the entire team 30% crit damage, and I think there was one other effect that doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't think you need it. You'd probably need it if you didn't already have Tusks of Fury, but I got Tusks of Fury because I knew it was going to be a good weapon. The impact, I don't know how useful the impact is, but it's there, right? Anyway, so that's just what it is. She doesn't use the shield buff, so that's kind of wasted, but I don't really care. Yeah, so anyway, so this is her build. I'm actually pretty happy. This build came out phenomenally. Look at all the pieces I found that I just ended up being really good. This one's kind of iffy. It could use crit damage instead of attack percentage, but whatever. I could replace this pretty easily. Then this could use crit damage, but whatever. Crit rate and crit damage, honestly. This one turned out really good, and then this one turned out really good. 3% crit rate. So I got a lot of good pieces. With a little bit more effort, like, again, this one, if I got a +2 to HP percentage here, I could probably hit 25.8, and that's where she gets another threshold, right? So the closer you get to 27, the better. So this is definitely doable. And then in combat, she has 36 plus she gets another like 35% crit chance in combat because of this buff here somewhere. This here, crit chance per HP, whatever. I don't want to calculate it out. I just know I've looked at the stats in-game, and the in-game buff puts her up to like 70 whatever crit chance, which is pretty good because now she's actually doing a decent amount of damage. And if you run her with any stunner who's running the crit damage set, the King of the Summit, she benefits from that. So she's doing a little bit of damage here and there. Most of her damage is off screen. Like, you swap onto her to swap off of her. Like, everything she does is you want to swap on to swap off, like, immediately. So she does most of her stuff. So I don't know. I've been really enjoying her. This set is not for Yixing Wang. The problem being is that, like, there's no good set when you run her with Yixing Wang, but everyone else can benefit from this. Like, if you run this on Sambi, Trigger, Zhao, between Trigger and Zhao, they have enough quick assist to max out this buff. If you run her with Pokra and some other third unit, that unit gets the benefit of this because between her and Pokra, there's enough quick assist to max out this buff. You know what I mean? So everybody can use this except for Yixing Wang because Dai Lin doesn't have any quick assists, and Dai Lin is more important to the Yixing Wang team than Zhao is. Arguably, I would say that. I'm probably gonna release a video talking about the Yixing Wang team and like the value for different units. But this set benefits basically every other team you want to run her on. So I like it personally. I got really lucky with this set. So that's that. Who else? I'm actually I'm like delaying on showing this unit because I'm actually pretty proud of where I got to this unit. We have 99% crit chance. This is as close to 100% as you can get. Any more, you're gonna go over by way too much, and it's just a waste to grind for like more crit chance at that point. I got 99 without her weapon on Steam Oven. I have her at 99. So like this is one of my. I'm super proud of this. Hopefully, whoever made it, all like, one of you who made it to the end of this video, or get to see this. So anyway, whenever I use her in matches, I'll show off her build. But yeah, so I finally got this. We'll go over her stats right now for her disc drives, but all this is maxed out because her melee attacks do a lot of days. Her, obviously you block. Her EX specials and then her ult do so much days. You just, all the days you want. So yeah. 3+3 crit chance here, +3 here, +3 here. All of them fantastic. Obviously this is going to be main crit chance. I got 4 on this. I rolled this yesterday or the day before that, and I got a +4 on it. It's ridiculous. And then obviously just +2 here. So I'm running energy regen here and then this energy regen because the faster you stack up energy regen, the more impact this gives you. At max stacks, this is what, 24% impact, which is ridiculous because no other weapon has that much impact on it. Like a 5-star only has 18% impact in the main stat. So not only does she get the energy regen, we can pretend that she has an entire 24% impact here. So yeah, not to mention she also has a bunch of impact from her passive of hitting 100% crit chance. Anyway, the point being is that you don't need Dylan's weapon. Don't get Dylan's weapon. Just slowly upgrade your discs over time, getting more crit chance, and you'll be fine. Because her weapon, again, it's not bad, but her weapon gives out like 30% crit damage to the entire team and just gives her energy, and I forgot what else it does, but it's really not worth it. So yeah, I don't know. I like her. I think she's fantastic. Like I said, I'm just super happy that I got her maxed out. Now I don't have to grind for any more pieces for Dylan ever. She's just done. She's dialed in, as one might say. And then lastly, we're just going to go over Yixing Wang. These are her stats. I'm actually, again, super proud of this stat spread that I got, because just how quickly I got this, because it didn't take that long to get her stat spread this good. So I've had this sitting around. I went with pen ratio because, again, I've talked about this in previous videos, but Dylan's stats get saturated so quickly. She has crit chance, first of all, she gives herself so much crit chance that you can't go over 50. Like if you go over 50, you're just saturating, and you're wasting a bunch of time. It's hard to go over, like her thing gives her a bunch of crit damage, so you have to like balance that out. Her thing gives her a bunch of physical damage bonus. Like look online and look at a guide for Yixing Wang, and you'll see that like different builds yield different results because of how like her stat spread works and how like just oversaturate, like how easy it is to oversaturate everything. So just important to keep that in mind. But yeah, so I got this. This is the funny thing too. I kept getting crit chance on everything. So I had a +3 here. I went with this because I had this earlier, and this puts her at too much crit chance. And I had another +3 here. So like I'm not complaining because these are still good pieces. It's just like, my gosh. So I got this. This is another one. I got a triple crit damage here. So fortunately, I managed to get her build to the point where nothing's being saturated. Everything is exactly what we wanted. 3,000 attack, almost 200 crit damage. Perfect crit rate. Any more and I'll go over, but it's not that big a deal. You can go over. You can hit 50 if you want, but I don't feel like doing that. And then pen ratio. So again, her weapon. There we go. So that's kind of it. I guess the last thing I'll mention is talking about like what units are worth pulling for. Dial in 100% I think is worth pulling for. I think like if you don't have her, wait for her to come back, just because the mechanic of cheating out ults, it's too valuable not to have, right? And Yixing Wang showed us how important the ability to cheat out ults were. Like before Yixing Wang came out, awesome, you just get an extra ult. However, with Yixing Wang, it showed us that like ults are doubling down on what they can do. Right, because cheating out Yixing's ult puts her in her ult state, whatever, her Ultra Instinct state. And that's where all her damage comes from, right? So that's important to keep in mind. Again, putting on another ult isn't bad. It's just that, like, we're getting units that, like, oh, their ult does damage, plus it also does other things. So if Dai Lin can force one out, you're getting double the benefits. You know what I mean? So That's important to keep in mind. So I think she was good. Obviously, Yuzuha is the best anomaly unit. So if you want to run anomaly teams, like there's no team that isn't going to benefit from Yuzuha. Um, and even non-anomaly teams can use her. Like I said, I've used her with her, and she still makes the team just go crazy. So yeah, I would recommend her. Obviously, Yexing Wang's like the most busted unit right now, so I would recommend pulling her. She's free. I don't know if I would spend money to pull for. Actually, I guarantee if she they didn't give her to her give her to us for free, I would not pull for Zhao. Um, yeah, she's fine, right? Don't get me wrong. It's just that I don't think she's worth the pity. I'd rather save that for someone else. But we're just lucky that we got her for free. Again, if you're running Monopoly, if you're running Anomaly, Yuzuha is indispensable to that team. So it doesn't matter who your favorite Anomaly unit is, they can use her. So I would recommend her, especially like I would even with Bernice's buffs, I would still recommend Vivian over Bernice. So again, another Void Hunter. I would recommend pulling for her. Just she covers so much, and the fact that like Rupture is now a thing in this game, like a whole DPS meta or whatever. Having kind of an Apex Rupture unit is just good. So I would not recommend pulling Sambi. I love Sambi. I think she's awesome. But she's probably one of the worst like investments I put in this game. It's just that I really like her, so I don't mind. I do recommend Trigger though. If you're not pulling for, even if you don't pull for Sambi, I still think Trigger is one of the best units in the game. On the tier list, they dropped her a little bit. I don't necessarily agree or disagree. It's just that Trigger's just really good. So I couldn't discourage anybody from pulling Trigger. As much as I love Jane Doe, I would discourage anybody from pulling Jane Doe because it's been a long time since she's been meta relevant. Obviously, the 2-2-2 Mindscape team with her, Alice, and Yuzuha is like still the most busted team in the entire game. But even then, it's like you probably do just as good with Yuzuha, right? So or Vivian, I mean, so I don't know. I love Jane, and if it weren't for Jane in this game, I probably wouldn't be playing this game as long as I have. But I like Jane, so any chance I get to like make Jane better, and like I said, I'm still hoping for those Jane buffs, but she's kind of hard to buff just because of her anomaly crit thing that she does. But yeah, I don't know. Just like I said, I wouldn't recommend pulling for her. You can if you want to. I'm not going to discourage anybody from pulling Jane. Clearly, she's my favorite unit, but she's probably one of the least impactful units to pull, investments you could say. Not to mention her weapon is pretty outclassed by Alice's weapon because her weapon's really annoying. It's hard to keep. Well, it's not hard. It's fine. It's just annoying keeping this stacked all the time because it only lasts for 10 seconds. So yeah, it's really annoying. Like Alice's weapon lasts for 20 seconds, and the requirements for that are way lower. So I don't know. It is what it is. I guess that's everybody in terms of like who to invest into. I have spent the better part of like the last half year since I pulled Yixuan trying to not run this guy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like him. Pokra is obviously a fantastic. Like, it's hard to like dedicate resources to pulling 4 stars, but if you can get Pokra to M6, she's one of the best units in the game. She stuns. She does a little bit of damage. She also buffs if you get her to M6. She also buffs. No, go back. Whoever your main DPS by 30% because this makes this a generic team-wide buff. Normally this buff here, 30% damage buff is only for aftershock damage, but once you get her Mindscape 6, it gives whatever teammate you have gets the buff. So that's why I like using her with Yixuan because it's 30% flat buff. Plus, again, the stunning capacity. Like her ult, if you build her purely for stunning, like if you gave her impact here with the 2-piece or whatever, and all you did was get stun potential, her ult hits for like a third of most boss enemies stun meters. It's ridiculous. Yeah, in terms of 4 stars, again, Lucy's not bad. If you don't have any other choices, go for Lucy, but there's just so many other better units. But again, if you're barely starting, right, Lucy's pretty good. I find Kaleda to be really fun. However, it does piss me off a little bit that like Lycone is getting a buff before Kaleda is. Like everybody. Anyway, that's gonna be a huge rant. Yeah, people still use Lycone. He's still useful because Ice is so strong. Nobody's using Kaleda. Like nobody cares about Kaleda. Why would you buff Lycone? Anyway. Obviously, Nicole, probably one of the best units in the entire game. If you look at the tier list, the Pridwin tier list, she's up there in like S rank or no, tier, is she 0.5? I don't remember. You guys can tell me. I think she's 0.5. As a 4-star, it's ridiculous. She's competing with other 5-stars in the support slot just because her kit is so good. First of all, if you get her full Mindscapes, the 15% crit chance is no joke. Plus, again, 40% defense shred, and then any Aether unit can use this. The problem, one of the things that pisses me off, my like OCD with Nicole, is that there's no unit that can benefit from all her buffs that I have simultaneously. What I mean by that is like if I run her on the Sambi team, they can use her 40% defense shred, her crit chance, and everything else, but they can't use the 25% Ether damage bonus, right? If I use her on my Yishuan team, I get the 25% Ether damage bonus is helpful, but the defense shred isn't because Yishuan does penetrates all defense, right? The only person who can make use of all her buffs is Yujuan, but I don't like Yujuan, and I'm never gonna pull for her. But I find that funny. Like to me, it's a little frustrating that it's like this unit is so amazing, but like even with some of her abilities unusable by certain members, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like that's just how good she is. Like she's still one of the best units on a Sambi Trigger team because Trigger, if you have Trigger's weapon, her weapon reduces enemy defense by 25%, and then Nicole's bubble does another 40. So that's a 65% defense shred. Again, it doesn't even matter that you can't use her secondary buff, right? That she like, it's ridiculous. And then again, on top of the fact that like this gives up, you know, at max 24% if you have this maxed out, and then again the set gives 18%. So anyway, just the Nicole, one of the best units to invest into. Even like, just there's no way that like she's ever better, that Lucy's ever better than Nicole in any team. Like every team can use the 40% defense shred. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah. So on the website it says I think she has an expert tag, which you don't really need to be an expert. Like all like her EX special and her ult. That's all she does. You swap into her EX special, and then the game gives you a free quick assist. So the game plays itself for you. You know what I mean? You don't have to remember to swap out because she already had like the thing will flash on screen to swap out, and then you go back to doing whatever you're doing. Like the only like again, it's very minimal effort, but the only effort is like, okay, I'm using my main DPS, swap over to Nicole to do her bubble, and then again, the game basically swaps for you. That's all. Like that's all you have to do is just while you're playing your DPS, have enough wherewithal to be like, I could be doing more damage, swap to Nicole. You know what I mean? Like that's all you got to do. So don't be put off by the quote unquote expert tag if it's still there. It may not be there, but if it's still there, don't be put off by the expert tag. All you have to do is swap over Nicole, do her thing, and then swap off of her. The expert tag is trying to keep that up, but the thing is, again, the game kind of plays itself for you with Nicole because you can't swap to her until she has energy. So you just pay attention to her energy, and whenever she has energy, swap to her, do her thing, and swap off. Like that's it. There's no like complicated tech that you have to do. There's no whatever. When you see me playing her, I do some tech where I dash cancel stuff because I don't like her doing her assist follow-up attack if she blocks an attack. But you don't ever really want to block with her anyway. Like the best case scenario with her, as long as you're not playing Hollow Zero, where you get one shot by everything. If you're not doing that, if you can afford to take a hit, every time you see a red flash, swap to her if she has energy. Because that's the fastest way. She comes in with a dodge attack, and she doesn't do any follow-up. So you can, as soon as you swap into her, well, again, when they do a red flash, swap into her, your main unit's going to take some damage. But you swap into her, EX special, and then swap out immediately. Like, that's like the fastest way you can get her in. You can hard swap her as well, but sometimes, like, she gets hit. So if you can dodge a red flash, it gives her some it gives her some invincibility frames, and then she does her EX special, her ult, and then you leave, right? So keep that in mind. There's not a whole lot to learn with her. Just as soon as you see her energy full, send it, right? So anyway, this video ended up being longer than the other one, but I had not necessarily more to say, but it's just I like this game a lot more, so I'd like to talk about it more and just kind of go over whatever. But yeah, so you guys might see this video. I might redo this video. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, see you guys in the next video.